of course, signed Roki Sasaki, the Japanese phenom pitcher. The next one, it was Yamamoto 1 year, and then now it's Sasaki this year. So they got him. And soon after, they picked up Tanner Scott, who's the top reliever on the market. Listen, a little baseball offseason talk, bear with us, but let's call it like we see it. Baseball has as big of a problem as any league in the United States of America has, with the lack of a salary cap, with the lack of a salary floor, with the lack of restrictions to how teams can pursue free agents. The service time is a nightmare. Arbitration is a nightmare. Certain guys can get big-time contracts that are unfathomably rich, and other guys are getting underpaid to kingdom come. And then the deferrals, it's a major problem. And the Dodgers are the benefactor. I think when the CBA comes up in 7 years or 2027 or 28, whenever it comes up, I think we're going to look at quite a big lockout because I think finally, they're going to start having conversations about it.
My question to you, Colin, are they cheating? They have to be doing something illegal.
It's just
they're getting everybody. They're getting everybody.
Nobody wants to spend the money.
It is ridiculous how much talent that team has. And I love baseball. I'm like you. I'll talk baseball till the cows come home. But I'm a little sick of the Dodgers and everyone going there. They're the new Yankees.
The Yankees were never this bad. They were never this bad.
But you get the you get the comparison. Like in the 90s and the early 2000s, the Yankees would just get all the best players. And now, the ownership group of LA, they're being bullish. And why not? Remember, everyone was kind of on them about the Ohtani contract until we heard about the deferrals and until we heard about how much money they're going to make advertising in Japan and for Shohei. I feel like either one or two things is going on. Number one, they're either cheating somehow that I can't explain, or number two, they're buying high and they're going to be making a boatload of money because these players are good and the team is going to be great. They already won a ring last year. All right, if I was a gambling man, I wouldn't bet on any other team that's not named the Dodgers right now. And I think to your point about there being not a lot of parity in free agency and a lot of names of teams going after these high-profile guys, it's always the Dodgers. It's the Dodgers and sometimes the Yankees and the Mets. The Mets smashed big with Soto, and the Yankees are kind of the third in the clubhouse now, right? I mean, between the Mets and the Dodgers, Colin, the Yankees are kind of an afterthought when it goes after these big free agents.
It's a mess. It really is, because every Japanese guy favors going to the Dodgers, and they're not cheating because there's no salary cap. There's no restriction. You are at the mercy of your owner. You are at the mercy of how much money your owner wants to cough up. The Dodgers are lucky because they have an ownership that is willing to fork around any amount of money because they realize that a winning team and a winning brand translates to a productive business model that they appreciate. Kirby Yates, another one who just signed with the Dodgers. Blake Snell, another one who went to the Dodgers. This is a team with class now. Ohtani's going to be pitching again. Yamamoto's pitching. You're going to have Sasaki pitching. Dustin May, Kershaw, if he can get in there.
Ridiculous. They have 8 starting pitchers.
They have more starting pitchers They have more starting pitchers in their bullpen than most teams have in their rotation.
Let me ask you this: if they don't win, how much of a disgrace is it?
Depends on injuries. It's baseball. All you got to do is get hot at the right time. I totally understand that. And the Dodgers, people said it last year when they got Ohtani and they picked up all that talent. People were saying that the Dodgers are going to go unchallenged. And the Dodgers didn't win because of people like Ohtani. They won because of people like that bullpen and Blake Treinen and Tommy Edman. So it's
Freddie Freeman's hot bat too.
Freddie Freeman's hot, sure, fine. But it wasn't because of the reasons that people think. And you can't assume that's going to be the case again. But there was such a clear gap, such a monumental gap in the amount of talent that goes to each team in the Major League Baseball. That, to me, goes without fixing, it's like the NIL. It's almost like the NIL. It's unrestricted. It's got no boundaries, and you're at the mercy of those who want to fork over the most amount of money, and that will determine how competitive you are.
The highest bidder. It's what it's going to be. It's going to be the highest bidder, and as you said, the Dodgers have proved that they're the team willing to spend money right now. Now, your best guess here, all right? Who's going to challenge them in the NL? I mean, you think of the Mets of the world. You think of the Braves of the world.
Braves are good. Philadelphia will be good. Arizona will be good.
I wouldn't give anybody in the NL Central any chance of beating that team, let alone even being in the same conversation. If the Braves are healthy, I think that they could be a legitimate contender. I really do. Not to go down too far on the baseball talk, folks, But teams that have the talent that can measure up to the Dodgers, I think is someone like the Braves, who, Colin, 1 through 9 are pretty bulletproof without injuries, and not to mention Spencer Strider when healthy and all those other arms.
The thing is, I don't want to exercise the idea, the question, because there's no team that competes with the Dodgers 1 through 9, and
Fair
throughout
enough.
that bullpen, there's none. And that, to me, is the problem.
That's a problem.
That's the problem.
That's a problem.
That's the fundamental issue with baseball. And it's a great sport, and the parity is excellent usually, and they get lucky some years with certain matchups and the whole thing. Magic, the whole bit. How can you not be romantic about baseball? It's a very real thing. But this is a major stain on the shirt of what MLB does. And to me, if you're going to sit there through the next CBA negotiation, whenever that is, in a couple of years, I believe it's in 2028, if you're going to sit through that and not exercise the idea that this league needs a cap, doesn't just need a cap, it needs a floor as well, which means that you have to spend to a certain threshold as well. So they need a cap, they need a floor. I think you're probably going to get a substantial lockout because of it, but I think it is for the good of the league, and that is what they need to do.
The owners are going to throw a fit. And in other words, the owners are going to throw a fit.
It's also just finding the actual revenue sharing agreement with that. It's a whole thing. It's a logistical nightmare.
Okay.
But you're right. The owners don't want the floor.
Right.
The cheap owners don't want the floor.
Right.
And the owners who spend don't want the cap. So you got owners who disagree, and also the players who get paid a ton of money don't want the cap because they want to be paid ridiculous contracts that go 30 years down the line. And the players that play for cheap organizations that want to stay want the floor because they want to get paid.
My question to you, why would you be a cheap owner? Just sell the damn team.
Because it's like buying a stock that you know it's the ultimate return on the investment. They could do nothing. They could do nothing, the bare minimum, year in and year out, and the value of the team exponentially rises. Sports teams has been the single greatest generator of generational wealth for anybody. So they could just sit there and let it grow and grow and grow. It doesn't matter.
It does my head in being a fan of a low-time organization in the MLB when it comes to spending. Because I see these free agents and these articles that come out about these guys entering free agency. I know I have no chance. I know I have no chance of my team getting these players. And right now, the only teams that have a chance of getting the players are the Dodgers, the Mets, and sometimes the New York Yankees. No parity. You mentioned there's parity in baseball. I agree when it comes to playoffs and who's there and who's actually hot. But when it comes to free agency, major problem.
888-760-3776, the number to get into the program. Major League Baseball has a major issue on its hands. And they need... we're preaching to the choir at this point. Need a cap, need a floor. And it is going to be a nightmare to figure out, but no better time to start than now because what the Dodgers is doing is it's unethical. It's unethical, the amount of money that they are pouring into that team that cannot be rivaled by other. Blame the owners, blame the billionaire one, and blame billionaire two. Fine. But the fact that it's capable, the fact that it's allowed is a problem. Right. There's a perfect, sound, sustainable business model just next door in the NFL. Perfectly. The salary cap raises consistently. Guys can set market values every single year, but there's caps. There's floors. They want to make sure guys are paid. You're not paying out of the owner's pocket, so to speak. Baseball is not. Baseball, you are out of the owner's pocket, out of his checkbook. That's a structural problem. That's cracks in the foundation of what makes it great.
I think the players' union will lose their mind. If you try to take that away, Colin, you could see a significant. Now, I'm not saying they're going to take away the cap, all right? But if it does come to fruition of the lockout that you're
it's going to come to a lockout. You're not going to be.
It's going to be a long one. I'll tell you what. It's going to be a long one, and both sides probably won't budge. How far separated are we from the last one? I swear we did this 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, sure we did. It was 4 or 5 years ago, and it was about revenue sharing.
Got it.
Because what happened 2 CBAs ago, and the CBAs, for those who don't know, is a collective bargaining agreement. It's basically the deals between the TV contracts, the owners, and the players' union based on how much money gets allocated to each team, who it gets allocated to when it gets to the team, whether it be to the owners, the players, and the whole thing and like that. So the first time around, we'll do this, whatever, we got time. The first time around, 2 CBAs ago, the owners had lawyers, actually educated, like people who knew what they were doing, litigators, people who knew how to argue, knew how to structure, knew what they wanted. They went to the bargaining table with that type of brass, with those type of guns.
Right.
The players' union had ex-players representing them, ex-players who are smart, understand what the player thinks, but don't understand the
Business.
logistics,
Yep.
the business side